Community reception is hard for me to deal with. I'm not sure if it has to do with the nature of my content, the way it's delivered, me being LGBT or what, but I feel like I get distinctly two reactions to whatever I do with almost no middle ground. Either your videos are all bangers, or kill yourself. I have tried to think of numerous reasons why this is, and they all sound incredibly self-righteous. But I think the true answer is that people are only going to comment on your critical work if you've reaffirmed their previous beliefs, or if they vehemently disagree with you. It's hard to remember there are literally hundreds to thousands more who are just lukewarm and didn't say anything. Imagine this with me for a moment. You want to make a video critiquing earthworms for being kind of a shit class. After you put it up, Earthworm Jim himself appears in your comments to tell you all about the obscure earthworm facts that you missed and how you're wrong. How do you react to that? I don't think I make this clear enough in my videos, but I try to make things, especially videos like the AC6 one, from the perspective of the first playthrough, because it's the most important one. Ultimately, if everything good about earthworms is obscure and unclear, I don't really think that invalidates my criticism at all. But how do I bother to convey that? Should I, even? In front of me, I think I see two paths. The first is to take the Joseph Anderson approach and make sure every single point is thoroughly interrogated, and no stone is left unturned with dozens of examples for each point. The second is to look towards something like Every Frame a Painting, where they don't really clarify their points past one solid example, and if you missed it, too bad. The latter approach probably leads to more videos, and the former, less. The thing is, I don't think there's winning with pedantic YouTube commenters. I thought other creators were exaggerating when they talked about how bad the online community can be, but no, it actually is that bad. It is absolutely unthinkable for me to call anyone an idiot, nevertheless someone who bothered to condense their thoughts about something into a concise format and aren't just aimlessly rambling. I have no fucking clue how people are so willing to be so unabashedly rude online, and to treat their opinion as law, or dismiss mine for not being objective enough. My response to this kind of thing is very trauma-fueled, as are many things that I experience. The people that I grew up with had incredibly disproportionate reactions to whatever they were dealing with, and often got very upset and angry over problems that were pretty small. I grew to believe that any negativity directed at me was going to spiral into truly ravenous hate, which isn't realistically true for most people. I've never let this really manifest in a disrespectful way, at least I hope not, but it has made me feel like shit. I've got better at dealing with it thanks to therapy, but it still fucks me up pretty extensively. I've been on the internet a long time. It was the only real escape I had for all my life, and I remember coming across a lot of creators saying things like, don't be afraid to reach out to the people that you like and tell them their content means something to you. I thought this was fishing for compliments when I was growing up, but I think I understand now. It's to counteract the overwhelmingly vile negativity that is omnipresent online. That all might make me sound like a whiny, sensitive loser, and if that's the case, good. I am those things. I have struggled with a lot of mental illnesses in my life, and it's taken me all that time to establish good, healthy, optimistic habits to be able to cope at a base level. That's a big sign of maturity in my eyes, but I don't think the people leaving exceptionally out-of-pocket comments on YouTube have gone through that yet. Maybe they never will. I know lots of people find it funny to get people with short tempers to go off, but I've never found it entertaining, only sad. I have a hard time believing that people genuinely just post bait online to make people angry because it seems so pointless. Regardless if it is bait or genuine opinion, though, it does make me sad to see. Mostly because I know that if your response to someone criticizing a game you like is to tell them to off themselves, you probably had quite the troubled childhood growing up yourself. I know what that's like. If watching people get mad at you brings you genuine enjoyment rather than reflection, that's definitely not healthy either. Even the ones who simply disagree rather than actively want me dead convey their thoughts in such a disrespectful manner. I've been called a lot of names for simply putting my opinions in a video format. Pseudo-intellectual is a new one I got from this week. Even if I made a comment rundown going over all the criticism I've received, I wouldn't frame it like, this fucking moron is an idiot and wrong. That might be my initial mental reaction, over the course of about half a second, but the thought of actually writing that makes me cringe so hard it's physically painful. The main difference is that I will plainly state that these people are being out-of-pocket assholes towards me, but it's not intended as an attack on their character, it's just a statement of the truth. I don't know shit about them, and so I won't make any assumptions, but clearly that isn't going to stop everyone. This recent video on AC6 has made me re-remember how much one's thumbnail and title play into reception. I addressed several times in this video that I wanted the game to be harder, and I didn't find it difficult, and there are plenty of people who have commented and either clearly weren't listening or didn't get that far. There's been many of the classic comments convinced that my videos are a psyop, and my favorite saying that my rage bait titles aren't helping my case. You sure about that? I'm sorry, my guy, this is just how YouTube works. You want your videos to be seen, which is how you get paid, you title shit like this. Inevitably, the AC6 video will probably fall into the same loop that the Stellaris one did, where all of the hate it gets propels it to more people and restarts a cycle all over again. I guess I found my incredibly depressing niche. After seeing the arguments people have thrown at me, it has not changed my opinion at all. I specifically, still believe wholeheartedly that stories should be straightforward enough to be experienced and understood the first time around. And if you disagree with that, then go fuck it. No, good for you. You can enjoy whatever stories you want, I don't mind. I don't think that you should have to play a game 3 times to get what the fuck is going on, unless that is literally the point, like an Undertale. And it's not in AC6's case, it's just incredibly unclear for no reason. If my takeaway after you roll the credits was, damn, that felt unfinished, I don't think that's a success. I would put more effort into that first playthrough instead of straying people along to play the same game 3 times. Note the excessive use of I and my in that last paragraph. Those are personal opinions which you can disagree with if you feel like. I don't think I need to make this clarification in every single video I ever make, but clearly, I'm wrong. I will admit that I might be too frivolous with my usage of phrases like bad game design, but I think my uses of it in this AC6 video were entirely justified. Losing a third of the player base to an unexpected difficulty spike with the Balteus is absolutely, unquestionably, bad design. You can enjoy conquering it in the fight itself, but it's not well placed if it threw so many people off. It might even be the intended design. Like, even if From wanted a third of the player base to shove the game into a locker and never return after this point, that's still bad design. Anyway, the point of this video is to point out that you can make an argument like this without being an unapologetic dick making fun of people. Note that I managed to make all of those points without directly insulting anyone, disrespecting them, or making fun of anyone's character. Crazy, right? Whether good design even objectively exists is not something I want to get into, but for me, when I'm referring to good design, I'm largely referring to accessibility and what will work for the most amount of people, not necessarily the developer's intentions. Because if I did base it off the developer's intentions, then every game would be a 10 out of 10. I will prove this by digging into Long War. This pains me to say, but the vanilla classes from Enemy Within, and especially XCOM 2, are probably designed better for most people. I think they're insanely poorly balanced, but it's undeniable that most people who play these games think their soldiers who they name after family and friends becoming superheroes after a while is fun. Long War's classes might be better designed for balance, but for game feel and accessibility, just look at Will to Survive. If you don't play Long War, what the fuck does this do? Pod activations are bad design. I like them, and I think I enjoy the game more with them, but they're unintuitive and confusing to someone who's just started. They feel exceptionally gamey. For a more nitpicky example, lots of shit in Long War displays time in days rather than hours. This is also, I would say, pretty objectively bad design, when time matters so much. I suppose the lesson here, once again, is more clarifying statements. Well, that and a tunnel vision less, the AC6 video makes a lot of points, and only a handful of them have been touched by people, and others either radically misinterpreted or straight up ignored. The video is over now if you don't want to hear an AC6 spoiler. Alongside a few other things no one has mentioned, I have seen precisely no comments addressing how they throw all of the plot and its themes away after the halfway point. That seems like a pretty fucking glaring problem that no amount of additional playthroughs or clarifications about Ayer's sapience is going to fix. My ideal plot for this game has not changed one bit. I will say that I assumed Coral was sentient because it seemed far more interesting than the alternative of them being like dormant humans, but clearly I was giving their writers far too much credit.